Chapter 5 Olive Oil. Our neighborhood is at the end of a dirt road that most people think is a driveway. It's lollipop shaped, with the road being the stick that leads to a circle of 4 houses, 3 that are lived in and 1 that has been empty for years. We have shade all year from scrub pines that look like crooked trees in a Dr. Seuss book. But in the middle of the circle is a regular pine tree that towers over everything else. It's called Olive's Tree, after one of our neighbors, though I don't know why, other than that she loves it, and it has been there for longer than any of us. Finally, there is a sign as you enter our little neighborhood that says "No dumping," and as you leave, a faded, moldy sign reads "Thank you." Grandma says it means "Thank you for having visited." Olive says it means "Thank you for leaving." Now Olive is standing at our door. Olive Tinsley reminds me of a hurricane, spinning and stormy and gaining strength as she barrels forth. But like the eye of the storm, she has times when she is calm, even sunny. And on Olive's stormy days, Grammy says we need to be extra good to her, that she's had a lot of loss and sadness. But Olive doesn't seem sad to me. She just seems angry. When I open the door, I can tell by the shape of her mouth that it's a stormy day. "Is your Grammy at home?" Grammy gets up from her puzzle and steps next to me. "Hello there, Olive. Beautiful evening," she says, like she's letting Olive know. "We have to do something about Henry. This time he's gone too far." "What, I wonder? Gone too far? Henry?" "Did you see what he's done?" "Well, jeepers crow, Olive," Grammy says. "With Esme off caring for her father, and him working full time and taking care of Ruby by himself, I can't imagine he's had time to do anything that would cause any harm." "Come see with your own eyes, then." I hear lovely clinking sounds as we step outside. Miss Tinsley points up into a tree in Henry's yard and snaps, "Look at that! I think he's lost his mind for real this time. Why would anyone do such a crazy thing?" Esme, Lasco's silver spoons are hanging in the tree, tied there with white string. The tinkling sound are the spoons hitting each other in the breeze. "I think it's beautiful," I say. Olive holds up a finger and opens her mouth to speak. Grammy steps forward. "Now, Olive, quit sputtering. Every pancake has 2 sides. There's probably a darn good reason for this." "First," Olive begins, "Esme paints the house bright red. For goodness sakes, it looks like a fire truck. Not to mention her covering the front of the house with those ridiculous metal lizards. I know they remind her of home, but here on the Cape, it's silly." Just then, the screen door swings open and Henry steps onto the porch. "To what do I owe the pleasure of such sweet company?" He winks at me. "Henry Lasco, what have you done?" Olive demands. "Mighty nice to see you too, Olive. Lovely day." He pretends to lift a hat to greet her. Ruby comes to the front door and wraps both of her arms around her daddy's legs and stands on his feet. But it's the way she looks up at him. I've seen this a million times, but this is the first time it hits me in the stomach. It would be nice to have a dad like Henry. He puts his hand on top of Ruby's head and glances at the spoons. This was Ruby's idea, actually. She misses her mom and says the spoons sound like her mom's laughter. I realize that's true. "It's been hard." He motions toward his daughter with his head. "Esme's dad is pretty sick, so she won't be back for a while." I think of Esme's collection of spoons and her wall of teacups and how she lets me choose whatever cup I want when she has me over for tea. In the summer, the tea is iced and served in vintage, strong shoulder mason jars. Esme always gives me one of those spoons hanging in the tree to stir it, and we drink with our pinkies in the air and laugh, pretending to be fancier people than we are. My stomach aches thinking about her, and I realize how much I've missed Esme too. After staring at Olive for a few moments, Henry looks at me and says, "And speaking of big fish, Delcy, you should have seen the whopper we pulled in today." "Henry Lasco," Olive complains, "don't you pull that at me." When Henry doesn't like what Olive is saying, he'll say, "Speaking of," and then change the subject completely. Olive hates that. She'd rather fight, I think. "It was a striper," Henry continues, "but I'd never seen one like it. It was worth a chunk of change, but to be honest, it'd have broken my heart to keep it, so I let it go." "Henry, you didn't," Grammy says. "I know. Don't tell Esme, but he lived such a long time. I didn't feel like I had the right to put him on someone's plate." He rolls back on his heel a bit. "Actually, he would have filled a lot of plates." "That's a bunch of hooey," Olive snaps. "What kind of fisherman are you?" Poor Joseph McGillis probably shaking his head up there in heaven, having left you his boat when God took him. Henry and I lock eyes and he winks at me. Papa Joseph would have found a way to save that beautiful fish and make money. He looks up and takes a breath. "You know, every day as I head out of Chatham Harbor, I look to the sky and thank Joseph for leaving me the Reel of Fortune. It's the best boat on the Cape." Henry steps towards me and messes my hair a bit. "Aw, he was a good man and a good friend, your papa was. I miss him too." Olive starts talking about the spoons, but Henry interrupts her. "Speaking of Ruby, we better get back inside." He leaves, chuckling to himself. When Henry's door closes, Grammy takes a deep breath, staring at his house. "You're absolutely right, Olive," Grammy says. "Something must be done." Olive gives Grammy one big satisfied nod. Finally, someone makes sense. "I know just the thing. Henry needs a bit of baked goods," Grammy says with a grin. "Maybe some brownies, or some of that blueberry pie he likes." She turns to me. "What do you think, Delcy?" "Well, what?" Olive stammers. "That won't solve a thing. What about the spoons?" "No spoon on earth has ever felt lonely or forgotten, Olive. But Henry, we must remind him and Ruby that we are their neighbors and friends." She leans forward and looks her in the eye. "And Olive, aren't you just the sweetest thing to bring this to our attention?" "Well, that's not exactly," Grammy interrupts. "You know, you could help us bake, Olive." "Well, I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of things to do." "Well, if you change your mind, don't you hesitate to give us a yell now." Olive has that look about her, like she wants to come, but won't let herself. I also know that while we're baking, Grammy will send me over to borrow something we don't even need, to give Olive another chance to come. I smile to myself. Grammy's always saying that when people throw rocks, you can either build walls or bridges. Grammy has always been a bridge builder. Chapter 6, Lightning Boy. When I show up at Seaside the next day, Brandy is sitting on the kitchen counter talking to her mom. "Hey, Del," she greets me, wiping her chin as strawberry juice runs down it. I notice her fingernails, bright blue. Her toenails are red. I glance at her mom, same colors. Looks like the mani-pedi went well, I say. My smile makes me feel like my face will crack, and I feel guilty. You're not supposed to feel jealous of a friend, are you? Brandy turns back toward the counter so I can't see what she is doing. When she spins around wearing new sunglasses, aviators, I think. You like? She asks. We got them yesterday. Yeah, they're cool, I say. Surprise, she yells, pulling out a second pair. We got some for you too. Then all of a sudden, I'm happy. Happy that they thought of me when they were out. Thanks, I smile and slip them on my face. I like the way they look in the reflection of her glasses. I like the way they make me feel too. We high-five. I turn. Thank you, Miss Feister, I say. They are really cool. You're very welcome, Delcy. Brandy seemed to think you two have had to have matching ones. She turns back to the counter laughing. Brandy and I head outside wearing our sunglasses and sit at one of the picnic tables. The new guy in charge of taking care of the place is fixing the lid on one of the grills. He nods at us, and Grammy told me about him. She said that he seems to be able to fix anything that either God or man has made, but he isn't one for conversation. I turn to Brandy, pushing my glasses at my nose. So what should we do? You want to build a sandcastle with a moat? See how long the castle can last? Deepest moat in Cape history? She looks at her nails. I can't dig in the sand with a new manicure, she tells me. We could go clamming. She shakes her head. Too messy. Too messy? That's something I've never heard from her before. Wait, I know. Let's make a new fairy house. Are you kidding? What? It'd be fun, I say. Right after finger painting and Play-Doh. When I look down, my sunglasses fall off. As I bend over to pick them up, I hear her sigh. Is Amy around? She asks. No, we're not going to see her much this summer, I say. She got the lead in the Cape Playhouse musical. She turns her head quickly. The Playhouse? Seriously? I laugh a bit. Yeah, I know. Rehearsals start this week. It's a big deal for her. She's playing Annie. That's cool, Brandy says, but she looks bored as she flops down on the grass and picks out clovers. So, is your oldest living bird still alive? I laugh. Yeah. Please tell me your bird's name is still Birdie. I laugh again. Yep, you know I was in diapers when I named the thing. Last year, then, I gave her a little shove. You're hilarious. Well, you want to go for a run, I ask? Me? No way. Plus, it's too hot. She looks up at me. So did you ever join track? No, but I've been training for the 5K in Yarmouth this September. It will raise money for heart disease. Aw, is that for your papa? I nod, thinking about the day Grammy told me he had a heart attack. About how Brandy stood next to me then and put her arm around my shoulders at his funeral. About how the world has felt like a different place ever since. I look out at the clouds forming over the ocean. I can tell that rain is coming. Brandy tickles my feet. Are you wearing shoes now that you run more? Nope. I do everything possible to avoid shoes. She looks at my feet more closely. Ew, your feet look like they were in a knife fight. You walk over glass or something? Probably, I tell her, but I don't remember feeling anything. Well, you're braver than me. I love my sneakers. Do you sleep with them on? She gives me a little shove. That was forever ago. 4th grade wasn't that long ago. Now, that's weird. Admit it. No way. Never. Then she looks at me over her sunglasses. So what's the plan? Should we go for a swim? We have new boogie boards. I look back at over the ocean. We can't go swimming, I say. A storm is coming. The weather says cloudy, but no rain. I realize that I forgot to check our weather station at home today, but I'm pretty sure I'm still right. No, rain is coming. Those are cumulonimbus clouds. Besides, can't you smell it? Smell it? Yeah, smell it. Seriously, you don't smell the rain? It's beautiful. I think you've baked your brain in the sun. That's what I think. Soon a light rain begins to fall, and Miss Feister yells, "Oh no, girls, please run down to the beach and collect my towels." Brandy looks at me and I have special powers, and we leap up. By the time we've taken just 3 steps, the rain has started to come down like God pulled the plug on his bathtub. "You were so right," Brandy yells as she runs. We laugh, running across the grass as tiny water bombs drop from the sky. The rain doesn't just fall, it's driven, carried by the winds, out over the sea. The dark clouds flicker like heaven is about to lose power. At the top of the stairs, I spot some sheet lightning in the distance, which is one of my favorite kinds. I stop to count so I'll know how far away the storm is. 5 seconds in between seeing the lightning and hearing the thunder means it's 1 mile away. As my counting reaches 5, the thunder cracks and rumbles above, shooting vibrations through the wooden steps. The storm is 1 mile away. Brandy squeals, running down the steps, and I follow. She scurries around, gathering towels and flinging them over her shoulder. But I am stuck in place, staring at a boy wearing black jeans and a long-sleeved black t-shirt. Even though it's summer, he stands at the water's edge, looking out over the ocean. "Hey!" I yell. "It's dangerous to have your feet in the water during a lightning storm." "Dels, come on!" Brandy yells, bolting up the stairs in a frenzy. There's a flash, then I count. After 4 seconds, the crack of thunder sounds like a giant breaking the sky in two. The storm is closer. "Hey!" I yell to the boy. "Did you hear me? Get out of the water!" The boy lifts 1 foot and steps back. He never turns around to look at me, and I am tempted to go over to see his face. Brandy yells again, "Delcy, what are you doing? Come on!" I spin on 1 foot and run with her. But with every step, my brain asks another question about the boy dressed completely in black who stands at the water's edge in the middle of a lightning storm. Chapter 7. Playing Games. "Jeepers, Crow," Grammy says, coming up behind me at Seaside Heaven. "I need your help with one of the rooms." The people turn the furniture upside down and ask to have the undersides of things cleaned. I don't think it's a joke, because they left a hefty tip. I help Grammy with the cleaning, but turning the furniture back over is hard. So she calls the office and asks for help. Soon, the new guy who helps take care of the place shows up. Behind him is the boy in black. Grammy extends her hand. "Bridget McHill, thanks so much for coming. I don't know what these people were thinking." The guy reaches out and shakes Grammy's hand. "Yeah, you never know," he says. He turns to me. "I'm Gusty Gale. This is my son, Ronan." "Gusty Gale?" I burst out. "That's the best name ever. I mean, ever in the history of the universe and the world. I totally love it." Father's and son's eyebrows pop up at the same time, like they practiced it. "It's way better than plain old Delcy McHill," I explained. Grammy scoffs. "Delcy McHill? Why, your name is like a song, Honey Bunch. Gusty Gale is..." She glances his way. "Well, very nice, too." Grammy turns a bit red. "Well, thank you both," he says, chuckling. "My legal name is Sherman, but I go by Gusty." "Oh, I don't blame you. Sherman is an old guy's name, but Gusty's a guy who treats everyone to fish and chips on Friday night. It's much better." "No worries," Gusty says. "I prefer people who say what's on their mind." "Well, no worries there," Grammy says. The boy finally speaks. "You do know what a gale is, right? And what Gusty Gale would mean." "Oh yeah, a stormy storm." He's 2 words that kind of mean the same thing, like soaking wet. Yeah, well, some say I am pretty stormy, Gusty says. I turn to Grammy. Maybe I need a weather nickname, too. How about Muggy McHill or Monsoon McHill? The first few notes of a song begin on Grammy's radio. I recognize it right away. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. My Papa Josa loved that song. I burst out. I bet the captain in this song was named Gusty Gale. Well, Gusty begins, considering that's a song about a ship and a crew that met their end, I hope not. The boy, Ronan, eyes me the way you would an alien stepping out of a spaceship and asking for pie. Gusty stuffs his hands back in his pockets. I've never lost a crew member, thank God, but I have lost a fishing boat to a storm. The Infidevil. What was a shame it was. Haven't forgiven myself. Never will, I imagine. His son gives him a puzzled look. I guess he didn't know that. Well, I'm glad you're okay. My papa used to say that anything made by a man can be replaced, but not so much with things made by God. He nods slowly. Yep, that's true for sure. Then he takes a deep breath, lifts his head, and taps the side of his son's arms. He points with his chin towards the room, and Gusty and Ronan begin to flip the furniture back over for us. Grammy reaches for the tip the customers left and holds out a $5 bill to them. Ronan reaches out, but Gusty steps forward. Nah, that's okay. You keep that. He nods at his son, and they both give a wave and turn to go. Ronan glances back quick, not at me, but at Grammy. I find Brandy before reaching the beach. She is sitting at the picnic table playing cards with a girl I don't know. Hey, I say. Sorry I'm late. I was helping Grandma clean. I look at the girl and hope she isn't staying in that room. The girl only looks at me for a second. Hey, Dels, this is Teresa. Her mom works with my mom, and they are renting a house a few blocks from here for summer. That's cool, I say. It's your turn. The girl stares at Brandy. What are you playing? I ask. Gin rummy. Brandy picks up a fan of cards and glances at me. I know that look. She's got lots of points. Can I play? I ask. Sure, Brandy says. Wait, Teresa says. We're playing to 500. How can she jump in the middle? It'll be okay, Brandy says. I'll give her half my points. Thanks, I say, falling onto the bench next to Brandy. Teresa tosses her cards down. Never mind. I was getting tired of this game anyway. She swings her legs around and stands. So this is the famous Cape Cod, right? What do you all do around here anyway? Well, we whale watch for one thing, Brandy says, bumping my shoulder with hers. Delcy, my mom is taking us on a whale watch for my birthday on Friday. You can come, right? Are you kidding? Yes. And I've already got you a present. Something no one else will get you for sure. Should I worry? She asks, smiling. Maybe a little, I say, locking eyes with her. Although I know she'll be happy with her gift. I'm the one who thinks it's kind of creepy. Teresa rolls her eyes. Well, that's real exciting. And what else do you do around here? I open my mouth to say something to Brandy, but she jumps up before I can get it out and follows Teresa down the beach. The little voice warns me. Chapter 8. A Liar and a Thief. The next day when I arrive at Seaside, Brandy and Teresa are heading to Sunday School, a fancy ice cream place. They ask me to go, so I find Grammy and ask if I can have some money. That place is too rich for my blood, she says, never taking her eyes off the sink she is scrubbing. You can get some out of the freezer for a fraction of the cost. Please, she sighs. There's a $5 bill in my wallet, although you know it won't get you much there. Thanks, Grammy, I say, taking the money and running to find Brandy and Teresa, hoping they haven't left already. Teresa stares at my feet. Shoes? She asks. I'm good without. Brandy laughs. Delcy doesn't believe in shoes. Great, like Tarzan. Good for you, Teresa mumbles. My cousin doesn't wear shoes either. She's a year old. Brandy seems to be thinking about Teresa's comment, so I give her a gentle shove. Remember how I got you to give up shoes last summer? You bounced around the hot pavement like a ball in a pinball machine? Yeah, because I'm normal, Brandy says. Why would anyone wear shoes on the Cape? It's like wearing a wetsuit in the bathtub. Yeah, Delcy, Teresa laughs. It's just like that. I sigh. When we finally get there, I swing open the door. I love the ice cream here, but my favorite part of the place is the player piano. For a quarter, it will play all by itself. Excuse me, miss. The shop's manager has spotted me. You'll have to wait outside for your friends. I was hoping to get away with it, as the manager is usually busy. Today is unlucky. Oh, I mumble. Teresa is already in line, and Brandy rushes over. What are you doing? Come on, she says, darting her eyes between me and Teresa. I can't come in because I don't have shoes. So I guess I'll just wait out here. I hand her the $5 bill. Get me a small sweet cream and a boatload of Jimmy's chocolate. She half smiles. Yeah, I know. I head back outside and watch them through the window, and I see exactly what I'm afraid to see. Brandy, laughing like she's with the best, most interesting friend in the world. She used to look at me that way. I stare at my dirty feet, then back up at my reflection. I don't like what I see, and I wish I could go to a hairdresser instead of having Grammy cut my hair over the kitchen sink. Then in the reflection, I see something I don't expect. Ronan, the boy from the beach. He is still wearing black jeans and a black long-sleeve shirt. Although the sleeves are pushed up past his elbows, he is drinking a milkshake and doesn't seem to bother breathing as he does. I turn around. Hey! I hear the noise of the straw sucking more air than milkshake. He turns, lifts the cup into the air, and lobs it into the garbage can. Finally, he turns to me. What do you want? Nothing, just talking. Well, you don't need to talk to me, he tells me. Why does everyone on Cape Cod talk to strangers? Locals call it the Cape. Cape Cod is only for tourists' t-shirts. You're not from around here, are you? No, detective, I'm not. He looks up at me. Has anyone ever told you and your friends that you remind them of a great hammerhead sharks? This is obviously not a compliment. They only swim in shallow waters. He laughs as he leaves. A familiar voice calls my name. I turn, and Amy and Michael are coming across the parking lot. Amy gives me a quick hug. Are you alone? No, I'm with Brandy and another girl. Brandy? Cool. Does another girl have an actual name, or is she supremely unlucky? Her name is Teresa, but it's not me who's supremely unlucky. I motion towards the door. They're inside. Ha! Michael says. They wouldn't let you in because of the feet, right? Still haven't joined civilization, huh? Amy smiles. Civilization is overrated, I think. Yeah, Michael agrees. Why should you have to wear shoes? People's hands are probably worse. Not like everyone has to wear gloves. I shrug and hope we still aren't discussing my dirty bare feet when Teresa comes back out. So how come you're not rehearsing, I ask. Well, we have time off once in a while. We looked for you at Seaside. Your Grammy told us you were here. Hey guys, Brandy says, rushing over when she sees them. I hear you're big stars this summer. Brandy gives them both a hug. Teresa stands behind her, looking Michael and Amy over. Well, I don't know about stardom, Amy says. Not yet, I say, and she smiles. Brandy hands me my ice cream. Oh, Amy says, can I please? I nod and she scoops up some with her finger. Teresa looks like she's been stuck with a pin. Someone yells, and I turn to see the manager arguing with Ronan. He's standing on the running board of the shop's antique ice cream truck with a giant sign that reads, "Do not touch." "I told you before to stay off that truck," the man shouts. "I won't tell you again." "Well, that's good news." The man's eyebrows knit together as he steps towards the boy. Yeah, Ronan says. He gets down and backs away. "I'm going." Teresa scoffs. "What's his problem anyway?" "I don't know," Brandy says. "He lives at Seaside Heaven with his father, the new fix-it guy. He doesn't talk much." I'm just about to tell them he spoke to me when I remember what he said. I look over at Teresa, thinking of hammerhead sharks. "Well," Teresa sits up straighter, "I think someone ought to tell him it's summer and that maybe he should change his clothes." "Yeah," Michael says, "because we can tell everything about him from his clothes." Teresa shoots him a look. He obviously doesn't care, and I envy him. "I feel sorry for him," Brandy says. "Why?" Teresa darts back. "He is not a nice person." "How do you know?" Annie asks. Teresa looks at her like she's a fool. I have to admit, I'm not sure that he's all that nice, but the little voice tells me to keep quiet about him. "Hello," Teresa begins. "Did you just see him? I heard he's always in trouble, and he stole stuff from a room when his father went to fix something. And he's a liar, too, because he said he didn't do it." I want to ask how she's so sure, but I have a feeling that Teresa, she may be wrong about something, is like poking a bear with a fork. So she reports on all of the things she's heard. I stare at him. Ronan is now leaning against the fence in the parking lot with his fists tucked under his armpits. I notice the way he pushes his chin forward like he's ready for a fight, while his face is so sad. Teresa continues, "I don't know. You should complain, Brandy. You have to live with him at Seaside. Who knows what he'll do?" Brandy doesn't say much. In fact, she doesn't say anything at all, which isn't like Brandy I've always known. Michael turns to Amy. "We should get going." She nods. I hug them both, and they head across the parking lot. "Let's go back to the beach," Brandy says, and I nod. As we leave, I keep my eyes on the boy in the black, who is possibly both a liar and a thief. Chapter 9. More than a fluke. I was more excited about the whale watch before I found out Teresa was coming. I think about the gift I got for Brandy and how much she's going to like it as we board the boat with Miss Pfister. I run up the stairs to the top decks. Teresa and Brandy follow. The boat is filled with blue benches. There are safety rings, buoys hanging on the walls. Having been trained by Papa and Henry, I look for the lifeboats. Too, and I see they are stacked on top of the cabin. When the boat takes off, I can feel the motor rumbling through the deck. Brandy's looking at some video. I want to join in, but I know Teresa won't like it. And I'd rather look at the ocean anyway. Huge waves rise and fall, like a slow-motion watery seesaw. The boat bobs up and down with each wave. It makes me feel tiny. I call to Brandy to come look. Brandy and Teresa arrive to see the enormous fluke of a whale as it dives. The scientist on board tells us that the fluke, or tail of a whale, is like a person's fingerprint. Each one is different. I turn to Brandy and say, "That's so cool," but she is gone. Those two are already sitting on the bench watching more videos. But now we are surrounded by whales. Like most people on the boat, I run from port to starboard and back again to see the ones that breach the surface and wave their flippers. I'm pointing with the tourists and as excited as a 6-year-old. When I glance back at Brandy and Teresa, they are laughing again. and I realize they are taking a video of me. I am relieved when we finally get back to Seaside. The day hasn't been what I hoped. Although the whales were great, I just wish I had seen them with old Brandy. But I am excited to give her her present. My wrapping job is not that super neat, but it looks cool. Grammy saves up comics from the Boston Globe to use as wrapping paper. She says even if you bought the Globe, just for that reason, you'd save a fortune on wrapping. I've always thought it was pretty clever. Brandy's gift was hard to wrap because of its shape. Underneath is a clown. I think that clowns are freaky, but Brandy loves them and always tells me about her collection back home. When I found an old ceramic one at a tag sale, I knew it was the perfect present, and I've named her Edwina after a clown we saw at the carnival last summer, who juggled and told dumb jokes, back when we could laugh at dumb stuff. I hand Brandy the package. Teresa says, "Nice wrapping paper." Clearly, she's being sarcastic, but I try to focus on Brandy and watching her open the present. As I hoped, her face lights up. "Do you like it?" I ask. "I do, Dels. She's great. Thank you." "You're welcome. I was so excited when I found it at the tag sale. Doesn't she remind you of the clown we saw last summer?" "Wait," Teresa interrupts. "You bought her a used birthday present?" "It's new to her," I say. "Look," she says, leaning towards me. "It's either used or it isn't. They don't sell new stuff at tag sales." Brandy turns red. I try to brighten. "Her name is Edwina, like that clown we met in Hyannis." "Of course it is," Teresa sighs. Then she pushes the box towards Brandy. "Here, open my present. My new present." Brandy opens it. A pair of sunglasses that look just like Teresa's. "Oh," Brandy says, "these are just what I needed."